Hello, welcome to the latest edition of DBE TV News. Thank you for watching us every Friday on the DBE TV channel 122 on OpenView at 12 p.m. Remember to find this bulletin on the Department of Basic Education's YouTube channel. I am Tsehohajo Moahi. In the top stories this week, the Basic Education Department hosts the 2022 ABC Motsepe South African School Choral Eisteddfod. The Eastern Cape and KZN Education Departments mourn the loss of their learners. DG Matanzi Mamweli visits winter camps throughout the country. Let's start here. More than 7,000 learners from across the country have participated in the 2022 ABC Motsepe South African School Choral Eisteddfod, hosted by the Basic Education Department at Rema Bible Church in Randburg. Celebrating its 20th edition this year, the Eisteddfod remains one of the most crucial school enrichment programs that promote unity in diversity, national reconciliation, and new South African national identity, social transformation, and social cohesion among learners. Learners competed under various categories, including solo soprano, mezzo soprano, solo tenor, solo bass, duet, and small ensemble, and others. Minister Angie Motshekga expressed her happiness that the Eisteddfod could get underway this year after a 2-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Also for us, SASK is one of our most prestigious events in the annual school calendar. It is part of our broad strategy for building social cohesion and promoting unity in diversity. And we all know that music is a very critical activity towards contributing to children's holistic development. So since 2001, SASK has gone through various cycles, really going from strength to strength. And thus, it's a very vital cog in building our democratic and non-racial, non-sexist, united, prosperous South Africa. Program director, I've even advised the president, when you give awards, because some of the people you bring, when you do awards, so they've agreed that this year when they do national awards, because this is where the best is in the country.
She added the importance of music and how it can open doors for the learners who take part.
Music opens, and we repeat that all the time, that it really opens world possibilities for our children. It always, interactions, bonding. And I'm sure when these kids grow up, they will tell their kids, it really does open doors for them. But as I say, it really breaks also some of the social barriers. For us, it's a basis for a new society that will inspire and nurture our children on values of human dignity, equality, and freedom for all. Because you can even see with the setting that we're trying to, not if we but I've never even conducted a choir. Would you try to get the best for our kids, to get the best out of them?
The minister took time to send the department's condolences to the families of the 21 young people aged between 13 and 18 who lost their lives at a tavern in the Eastern Cape. She says it is a national disaster as the learners were of school-going age.
Kodwa mhlambe isifundo sokuthi singabazali senze ngenye indlela akere barimesa mhlwane hafanya akere basotho mawubasintetha kwazi ukucimela because mawungacimela nje izawutsha tika hore rimesa mhlwane hafanya So bana ba ke metlwana so re fanye ha re ba besitse. So when you look after the young ones, it means we have to pour ourselves out and give it all, because they are the most important assets that we have as a nation, but also as families. And as I say, but what's just really raised about parenting, roles, community, but I think it's a good lesson. What remains is that we have to take collective responsibilities for the tragedies that cut short the lives of young people before their prime.
Now, new information is emerging following the mysterious deaths of the 21 children at a tavern in the Buffalo City Education District in the Eastern Cape. Some learners have spoken out about what they remember to have transpired on that night leading into the early hours of Sunday morning. Initial reports suggest that the deceased children are between the ages of 13 and 18 years old. Education MEC Fundile Gade has joined Premier Oscar Mabuyane in conveying his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families of the children who have passed away. The department says it is awaiting information on what exactly happened from the law enforcement agencies who are investigating the case. Meanwhile, in KwaZulu-Natal, the Education Department has sent their condolences to the family and friends of a 15-year-old learner who allegedly took her own life. The learner from Nombika High School under the Ilembe district was recently in the news because of the problems she had with the school management regarding her traditional rituals and her attire. The Education Department intervened in the matter, and the learner went back to school and wrote all her examination papers. The reason for her death is still being investigated. Stay tuned. After the break, we stay in KZN as the Deputy Minister hands over donations to flood victims.
The reason why you are here and why we are all here is because we are having a launch of talking walls and edu playgrounds. What do we mean by that? We mean that in all our ECD and primary schools, we need to have walls that are talking.
Minister Motshekga said there is a lady in Free State who has put curriculum on the walls. And we said we are very happy to hear that Minister Motshekga is now recognizing talking walls.
This idea of talking walls and edu playground is not only for teachers. It is not only for the principals, meaning the school management, but it's for the whole community. Let us start making our schools learning organizations where we all come together, work together, improve our education system, improve our teaching and learning together as a community. Hence, today I say, let us see schools as learning organizations.
Sometimes when you talk about education, we want to complicate it. We want to talk as this curriculum, there's something that's so difficult. And one of the things that I like about this, especially primary schools, is to try and demystify education. Is to try and make education enjoyable. Is to try and make education little children to enjoy being at school. They must be happy to come to school. And it is a responsibility of all of us, led by our principals. You know, when you say something must be done, and gets done, and even gets done better than what you thought it was going to be, it actually paralyzes you. So I must say, Harib, you have paralyzed me today. What I've seen today has really paralyzed me.
The National School Nutrition Program, the NSNP, is a government intervention program aimed at enhancing learner well-being and learner participation in education. The NSNP aims to improve food security for learners by serving a nutritious meal. The NSNP focuses on the food safety from farm to plate. This food value chain ensures that safe and nutritious meals are served to learners. Compliance at all critical control points is non-negotiable so that the end users receive safe and quality meals. This video series promotes and emphasizes good food handling practices throughout the NSNP food value chain. Strict compliance to health regulations needs to be followed during storage and transportation of food. All warehouses and school kitchens must have a certificate of acceptability from the local municipality that shows compliance with health and safety regulations. Schools need to check the quality and quantity of food during delivery. Food must be transported in closed vehicles to adhere to safety regulations. This video series showcases the NSNP food value chain, how the program supports good food handling practices, food safety compliance in critical control points such as the warehouses, delivery vehicles, storage, preparation, cooking, serving, and disposal requirements. Storerooms in schools must be clean, well ventilated, and secure. Food items should be checked for expiry dates before preparation. The volunteer food handlers prepare meals on all school days following a provincial menu. The program intends to address barriers of teaching and learning associated with hunger and malnutrition. On a daily basis, more than 9 million children receive a nutritious meal through the program. Meals provided to learners follow the food-based dietary guidelines as stipulated by the Department of Health, which offer a variety of food items including a daily protein dish, starch dish, as well as a fresh vegetable or fruit. Food waste should be discarded in bins with lids to keep rodents and flies away. The joy of learners taking part in school activities knowing there is a nourishing meal served daily through the National School Nutrition Program. It shows every child is valued in the education system where their potential can be developed towards building a prosperous future. The Basic Education Department has welcomed the announcement by the Health Department on no masks required when entering and being inside an indoor or public place. The department has, however, said it is optional for learners and teachers who still want to wear their masks.
The Minister of Health has announced that masks can now be taken off, which is a welcome development insofar as the management of COVID-19 is concerned. But we still need to be cautious because COVID-19 is still around us. We know that some people are still catching it, and there are still some numbers that are being published every day that do indicate indeed that COVID-19 is still around us. So what we need to do as school communities is to take care. Let's protect our children. If as a school you feel that you need to continue to ask your children to wear masks, do that, but please agree with the parents that that's exactly what you want to do. But also parents who feel that their children should continue to wear masks, they're free to do so as well. No one is compelled, it's now optional. The national state of disaster has fallen away, and the masks have also now been removed. But we still need to continue to take care and respond accordingly, especially when there are symptoms. We need to get tested so that we can protect ourselves and other people, especially in an environment like a school. So we have a responsibility to continue to take care of ourselves and ensure that there are no further disruptions to schools as a result of COVID-19.
Basic Education Director General Matanzima Mweli is crisscrossing the country, visiting winter camps for the matric class of 2022. Mweli has been to various provinces and says he's pleased to see the learners eager to learn, even during the cold. Winter camps are held each year by schools. to ensure the curriculum is completed and learners are up to date going into their exams. These camps, however, are not compulsory but are highly recommended, not just by the department but by the teachers too. The Basic Education Deputy Minister, Dr. Regina Mhaule, has expressed her gratitude at donations received for the learners, teachers and communities affected by the floods in KwaZulu-Natal. She was joined by the Provincial Education HOD, Nkosinathi Ngcobo. This year alone, more than 500 schools have been destroyed and others closed because they were inaccessible. Last year, more than 200 schools were damaged, also due to flooding in that province. Mhaule has thanked regulatory body Umalusi for their donations to the province, specifically Ntunzuma Primary School.
Size la primary school, Ntunzuma Primary School, silethe izipho ezibuya kuMalusi. uMalusi uzwile ukuthi siza la KwaZulu-Natal wathi angizusala ngifuna niyopha leingane ngoba khethani isikole esineyingane lezi ezifunda kwezinye izikole kodwa ngenxa ye-access bangasakwazi ukuya ezikoleni zabo. Nikwazi ukubanikezela ngalamaphasela amanye isikole sibanikeze bayinawo emakhaya. So uMalusi ke usinikezile nawo umthwalo niyawubona ngapha emva kwami. So sizonikezela ke sinikezele uprincipal SGB ukuthi bakwazi ke bayazazi bona leingane thina sazi isikole bazoyithatha from there.
Repairs are still ongoing on schools that had been damaged by the floods.
Ama-government bodies themselves bakwazi ukuyilungisela wona, sazilungisela lezo kwi-district. I-district sibekele up to phela kaSeptember ukuthi zibe sezilungisiwe structurally indonga. Bese ukuthi ezilungile kakhulu sibekele up to the end of the year. Ukuthi by the end of the year zonke sezilungisiwe. Kodwa ngalesikhathi sisalungiswa okwesikhashana sifake ama-mobile infrastructure ukuthi sifake ama-mobile classrooms about 73 ey'koleni ey'hlukene kwi-province.
Stay tuned. After the break, we are in the Mpumalanga province with the United Arab Emirates Embassy.
Research is showing that NSFAS supporting students on average are performing better than non-NSFAS supported students, which is also something that is very important because it says this almost complete wraparound program by government of NSFAS students is become very important. Also, the change from NSFAS being a loan to being a bursary has also made a very big difference because it has now even opened access to students, even in those institutions that were unaffordable in the earlier phase of NSFAS. Universities that have been more expensive, like University of Cape Town, Stellenbosch, Wits University, Pretoria, there's been a huge increase of the numbers of black students from poor families directly as a result of NSFAS and the kinds of difference that it has actually made.
Everyone has their own definition of what education is and means. What is yours? TED is a show that seeks to challenge the status quo by inviting guests that have a role and an inspiring story to tell about their journey in education.
A lot of it is not learner-centered.
This show seeks to dive in deeper conversations in quest of answering the big question, why education when there's so much to do outside of it? Why invest energy and resources that are so impactful in our society?
You're seeing a cartoon character that looks like you counting to 10.
This show airs on DBE TV channel 122. In case you miss it, binge watch it on YouTube, DBE TV. And also don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, simply DBE TV.
The United Arab Emirates Embassy visited Injabulo Primary School in Mpumalanga this week as they remain steadfast on their commitment to donate various items to 20 schools throughout the country. The embassy is working hand in hand with the Basic Education Department. For 28 years now, there have been diplomatic relations between the UAE, and South Africa. The chosen schools, including those which are either in need of assistance of various equipment, those with learners from impoverished backgrounds who may need school uniform or shoes.
We are so happy for what you have done for us today. As the name says, it all injabulo. Sijabulile. We are so happy about what you have done to us. We also want to appreciate the partnership that we have with the Department of Education, Mpumalanga, Etanzeni, Lubombo Circuit, down to Injabulo Primary School. We hope and believe that the goodies that are here in front of me and the others that are there will make the school to improve its results.
He went on to say that the partnership between the DBE and the UAE is beneficial for all.
I've seen test books, whiteboards, and even a safety box. So that's all that I can say, that we really appreciate the partnership. Let's continue with this partnership. We have heard that there are 20 schools that have benefited from you. So as Injabulo, we request that we keep on benefiting from your office. Thank you.
The Basic Education Department held a meeting to discuss rural education and how the draft framework is being implemented. This is in a bid to continue providing quality education in all schools, especially those in the rural areas of the country. The South African Schools Act states that all learners should have access to the same quality of learning and teaching and equal educational opportunities.
One of the challenges that we have in rural schools is that of maths performance and also languages, which include reading. So as a directorate, we have sourced funding privately, and we are implementing the Education project. The Education project uses technology to improve maths performance in the foundation phase in primary schools. And it has been going very well. It was implemented in KZN. It's actually a pilot, and its success in KZN made our funders to actually expand it. We are now implementing it in Mpumalanga at Ehlanzeni district. And because of that project, maths performance in the schools where it's being implemented is improving drastically. We presented the results in our internal meetings at the DBE, and the results were impressive.
Dr. Langa also spoke about a new project in collaboration with the University of Pretoria, which is about reading for joy.
Director General approved a partnership between the DBE and the University of Pretoria to implement the Enabling Rural Schools project. The project is around reading, is about reading, but specifically joy, reading for joy. And it's also being implemented in the foundation phase. One of the most impressive outcomes of this project is that the foundation phase learners will actually write books, and where they tell the stories, and those books will be published. We already have a sample of a couple of them, and we're ready to share them with the country.
Agricultural schools have been praised for their skills imparted on learners.
And in terms of agricultural schools, it's actually giving learners an opportunity to be exposed to the agricultural space, and it does actually help learners because they gain skills that they're able to use them when they pass matrics. So they gain a lot of skills in terms of farming, in terms of how to use implements, in terms of how to do agriculture, and I think it's working for the province, more so because our province is 90% rural, and therefore the support to agricultural school actually has a positive contribution to the economic development of our province.
That's how we end this bulletin this week on Channel 122 on OpenView and on YouTube. But before we go, parents, please take the greatest care to talk to your children about their extramural activities. The tragedy in the Eastern Cape must never be repeated. While we mourn with the families, we also call on society to be more decisive about the type of parenting that they want. Thank you for watching.